Welcome back, and we're going to get started with our home book. I haven't exactly decided if it's what I'm going to call it, but we're going to start with wrapping our covers. And as I will have showed you in the preview, we're going to do a lay flat binding. And in order to do that, because the only one I'd ever really worked on was a sewn lay flat binding, and I know that a lot of people don't like to sew or don't have a sewing machine or just don't want to get involved in that. So I wanted to do one that didn't involve any sewing. So of course, as you do, I Googled it and I got a bunch of results. But the first one that came up was a binding that was demonstrated by Pear Tree Treasures about a year ago for a design team project for Country Craft Creations, which of course is what this is, a design team project for Country Craft Creations. So I thought, well, let me look at her version, and I did, and I looked at a bunch of others, and so we're basically going to do her version, but with a couple of little modifications for our purposes. So what we need to do is wrap the cover, and I like to fully wrap the cover. I don't like any edge of the cover not wrapped. So that's, some people do it where they only wrap 3 sides, but I'm wrapping all of them. So let me tell you what you need. Let me grab my ruler. All right, so this is 9 inches by 7 inches. You're going to need 2. And I'm just going to apologize right off the bat, or just let you know right off the bat, this book uses a lot of stuff. You're going to need 2 pieces of chipboard to make the cover. Pardon me. 2 pieces of chipboard to make the cover. And you're going to need at least a full package of the Kraft cardstock, possibly more. I think 1 package will do, because once we get all the pages and everything done, we'll use scraps that are left over for everything else, I think. So right now I'm going to say a package. If you're specially ordering it for this book, I would say get a package and then maybe get another 6 sheets or something like that, just to be safe. All right, so what I have here is a piece that is 11 by 9. And what I did, I don't know if you can see, maybe on this side you can see it better, is I put it in my scoreboard, and I scored one of the short edges at 1 inch and one of the long edges at 1 inch. You don't have to do that. I just did it to help guide putting the chipboard down, to try and make sure it was at least reasonably straight. I like to do that when I'm dealing with a fairly big cover like this. So, pardon me. I'm going to grab some tape. If you have score tape sheets, this would be the time, as I tell you every time, and every time I forget to order them. I keep meaning to order some to try it, and I just placed an order for some stuff, and I forgot to add it to the order, so next time. And those are my Tim Holtz scissors. I've got to clean the blades. They've got some adhesive on them. I'm just taping around the perimeter. I don't know if you can hear that thudding, but that's at least one of my kittens playing. She's got a climbing structure like a little house, and it's sort of just around the corner from where I'm sitting. She's playing on it. Alright, so just put some tape around the perimeter. Again, if you've got the whole sheets, just tape the whole thing, or if you prefer to use all tape, with whatever size tape you have, tape the whole thing. I'm going to use glue in the middle. You can use your art glitter glue if you want. I'm going to go ahead and use my usual Fabri-Tac, which I'm running out of. So hopefully we'll be able to get it out of the bottle fairly easily. And I'm going to move this sheet because It would be just like me to get glue all over it. There we go. Now I'm not gluing the tape, I'm just gluing the area inside the tape. Let's bring the scissors out of the way. All right, and again, I don't know if you can see my score lines that are on this. And again, you don't even have to make these score lines, it's not critical, but I like to do it again, like I said, when I'm working on a big piece like this. Now, I'm doing this way because I'm making this lay flat binding, but it actually, and I don't think I've ever done it on one of my videos, but I've done it on quite a few albums. I like doing this method for a lot of books, and maybe my next regular book I'll use it. What I do for those is I only wrap 3 sides, and then I use a contrasting paper across the spine. It looks pretty. Let's see if I can find one to show you at some point. Okay. So everything's burnished, and this is just going to be and you can do your corners however you like. I'm going to miter them. Cut at close to a 45-degree angle. You can mark it if you want. I'm going to eyeball it, and you want to leave about the height of your chipboard right here. Because you're just wrapping the one piece without the spine, this is really very easy. It's a nice way to do a cover. Yeah, let me show you. Well, after I get it wrapped, I'll show you what I was talking about with the contrasting spine. I think you can probably visualize it, but just in case. We are going to use our tape and around the perimeter. I'm using 1/4 inch because I have a lot of it. If you've got something wider, that would probably be a good idea. Burnish all, whoops, see? I didn't put that down well. Let's see if we can get that off. I was just going to say you need to burnish the tape, otherwise it'll move on you. And it did. Okay, hang on. I really don't want to leave that there. Whoops, I'm damaging my chipboard a little, but that's okay. Just a tiny bit. All right, let's redo that. To peel up the side just a little bit, a couple inches, and peel off the one long edge and this long edge. And if you like, you don't have to, but if you like, you can run a bead of glue right along this edge. Just a small one. This is our glitter glue, which you should be able to get at Country Craft Creations pretty soon. It doesn't ship in the winter, but hopefully the winter is past us, although every time I think that, it snows somewhere. Okay. All right, and then just go ahead and pull these off. Pull this, whoops. There we go. Tip this one over because with all this that it's backing off now, I don't want it to stick to my work surface. Make use of your bone folder. It does very well for wrapping covers, tipping the paper. And now I don't know if you can see, there's a little I pointed it out. Let me see if I can get a pointy tool of some kind. Okay. All right, so right here, oh, you can see that. There's like a little, where this continues up and before it starts angling this way. And what you need to do is tip that in. And let me see, I usually use my bone folder to do that. I'm gonna try and see if, maybe if I use something smaller you can see. See how I just tip that in? Could you tell? Let me turn it around. This one's always a little trickier. Okay, let's see if you can see that. Just tip it in, just like that. Okay. Take the tape off. All these bits of tape. And tip it over. There we go. And you get a nice crisp mitered corner that way. Okay. The same on this end. I'm going to take, and I hope I'm trying to lift it up where you can see. So I'm just rolling that edge over and tucking that in. And then I'm going to do the same here. We'll just tuck it in like that. Okay. Get rid of these scissors before I cut myself on them. And that's not a theoretical. I actually have a scar on my leg where I stabbed myself with a little pair of scissors like that. So, because I'm coordinated that way. Okay, there we go. All right, so now we have a nicely wrapped cover. Let me move this out of the way. Okay, now let me show you. This is not how we're going to do this book, but I just wanted you to understand what I was talking about. So say you have two covers, and this end does not need to be wrapped. Let me grab a piece of cardstock of some kind, a different color. All right, well this piece is too small, but no, that's not going to work. I need to demonstrate it with something wide enough for you to understand. Hang on. All right, well this one's a little bit wider. So what you would do is you would take this, picture this, about yay wide. You'd put it on your table like that with your two covers. And then, have I got a spine? Okay, so say this was your spine, which it actually is. Put that there. You'd have these like this, and you'd glue this entire, you'd glue this cover to this, this to this, this to this, wrap these two pieces up and in, and you'd end up with a book with a contrasting color spine. You know, you've seen them before, so like this would be your cover, and right about here it would start with the other color. So that was what I was talking about with that. So let me set that aside. We're not actually doing that today, but I will do an album that way so you can see. All right, so here are our two covers, front and back. Very nice, neat. Okay, let's set those aside. Okay, so we're going to do our spine next. We have a piece that is 9 by 5 1/4. All right, and you're going to lay this in your scoreboard with the short end across, and you're going to score it, hope you can see, at 1 inch. At 2 inches. All right, then you're going to turn it around and score it again at 1 inch and at 2 inches. All right, and that should leave you a 1 1/4 inch piece place in the middle for your spine. And then I'm looking at my spine. I look like I have a little wonky bit right there. Hang on. There we go. Turn that off a little bit. Okay, now you're going to turn it so that the long edge is across the top, and you're going to score it at 1 inch. Turn and score it at 1 inch again. Okay, so then your spine will fit right in this center section. Okay. So what you want to do next, let me get this scoreboard out of the way. All right, is, actually, before you do the next step, let me show you. All right, so place this piece in your trimmer and trim off 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch from each long edge. This is so that it doesn't catch in the next step. You can eyeball it. Okay. All right, now, I don't know if you can see, there are 2 little squares in each corner of this. After you've scored it, you want to cut those out. Get rid of that. And repeat that at the other end. All right. That doesn't want to come off. There we go. That. And like that. Okay. And put my scissors away. Now take this, I'm going to fold in, and fold everything in the same direction. This piece is going to lay right in here, like that, and then these 2 end pieces are going to wrap over it, all right? And I've got my 1 inch tape I'm going to use. You can use glue if you prefer, it'll be fine. Just straightening out the end of my tape. that a little short, but that's all right, I'll just put a little glue there. And let's fill in that last 1/4 inch. Excuse me. Yeah, like I said, well, let me bring this over. Show that. And I'm just going to put a little touch of glue where I didn't put the tape. I could have just put another little piece of tape across there, but it's really not that critical. All right, now you want to lay this right in that spot, like that. Now, one thing you want to bear in mind, I should have mentioned it actually before I put it in, is ultimately the edge of this piece of chipboard is going to be somewhat visible. Because I'm using Kraft cardstock and they're a similar color, I'm not really worried about it. I'm going to leave it. But if you were using, you know, say black or something like that, or you might want to run a black Sharpie along this. If you were using white, you might want to paint this with a little acrylic craft paint or something like that if it bothers you that it's visible. And if that's the case, it's probably easier to go ahead and do it before you do the step I just did. Okay, and then what we're going to do is take and wrap our 2 ends up and over and glue them down like that. Okay, and I'm just going to use glue for that. Whoop, that's glue on my table. It's just a dry baby wipe, and I use the CVS brand ones. They're pretty cheap and they don't leave any lint. I like them. Go. So what you need to make sure at this point is fold your outer pieces to the inside and make sure you trimmed enough off that they're not catching like on this wrap. And it looks like I didn't wrap that particularly straight. Where's my scissors? I'm going to cover this so it'll be all right, but I don't want that little bit hanging over. So like that. Now, you should have your spine piece that you've wrapped like this. Cover the glue. Put my pin in. And your 2 wrapped covers. Okay, forgot to put a cover on my scissors. Our next step, you can see I've started on it, is to cover this exposed chipboard. So for that, we need a piece, and I don't know what's going on with mine. It seems to be rippling a little, and I used my art glitter glue, but that's okay. Anyway, so this piece needs to be 6 3/4 by 8 3/4. And I picked up this ruler. Somebody in one of the Facebook groups I belong to was using it. I thought you might be able to see the measurements better on my camera with it. Also, if you have difficulty with knowing like an eighth and 3/8 and 5/8 and 16ths or centimeters, they're all really clearly marked on this ruler. So, and it's got the cork back. It's quite heavy ruler, but all right. So let me go ahead and cut this piece, and you can see why we're going through so much cardstock. Just double checking. 8 3/4, 6 3/4. But once we get through this part, we should be able to use a lot of our scraps. Alright. Now, this, if you can get the fine tip off your glue bottle, this would be a good time to do it, because this is quite a large piece that we're trying to glue down, but I don't think it might have come off. It's sort of permanently adhered at this point. Let me see. I'm just trying to see if I can get it off. I don't think so. All right. Get that out of the way. The reason I said that is you have to get quite a bit of glue onto this piece of paper, and with this fine tip, it's not so easy to do such a big piece. But we shall see. But I think the other sheet is probably wrinkling because I actually took the whole cover off and kind of tried to spread it with a paintbrush, and that just did not go so well, and I think that's why it's buckling a little bit, but that will be all right because there's going to be a pocket that's going to cover basically the whole thing. Okay. There's the two covers. Now we also need to cover this center section. So I need a piece. Let's see. I think I'm going to make it pretty long. I'm going to go 5 7/8. Oh, I want it by, and you want the full width. So 5 7/8. This piece is supposedly 1 1/4 inches, but it looks like it might be a little fat. So I'm going to cut mine a little fat. So 5 7/8 by just a generous inch. Is that right? No, not 5 7/8, 6 7/8. Heavens. Find a scrap that's long enough. So we're going to cover our spine piece, and for that we need a piece 6 7/8 by a generous 1 1/4. Because I think my 1 1/4 inch spine is actually a little fatter than 1 1/4. See if I need to. I'm just going to take a little sliver off. hair off the length as well. So let's see. Yeah, that's pretty good. Let's glue that down. Get my extra glitter glue out of the way. I thought I was going to have to refill my bottle, but it's fine. Okay, there we go. All right, so we got our spine done and covered, and I've folded in those two sides and attached score tape to them. You can see. Okay, so see this how it is? And I'm using score tape because in the event all does not go well, I want to be able to remove this with my undo and try again. So what you need to do is take your cover. This is the inside of the cover. This gets tipped up, and this cover gets placed right like that, and then this gets glued there. And I feel like I have just a spot there that does not look great, but I'm going to go ahead and proceed, and we'll just call that the back. We're learning together. And I'm tempted to try to put this up, so I hope you can see, and just, no, let's just go for it. The problem I'm having with this, where I said I had a piece that just didn't look quite right, it's a little off, is I find it very difficult to cut chipboard, and so sometimes my spines, etc., are not necessarily exactly the same height as my fronts and backs. Sorry, my fingers are, I just realized you probably can't see what I'm doing. I've got my cover lined up there. Actually, you know, I'm gonna tip that up and then try to slide this up. Okay, I think we did it. And you can see it's even here, but it's not even here. But that could always be the back. All right. And you know what? I'm going to wrap this possibly with, or put ribbon or something here, so that'll hide that. I just wonder, as I look at this, it's going like that. Hang on. All right, so the next one goes like this. And I'm thinking it might be easier to just do it this way rather than that convoluted way I was just doing it, which is how I saw several people do it in videos. And that is what I'm going to do. Now remember, you're gluing this piece to the outside of your cover. Right, so can you see what I'm doing? Here's the outside of my cover, and here's the piece with the glue, and I'm just going to line up the raw edges. That looks a whole lot easier. Okay, so now you have cover that. And I feel like it's rubbing a little right there. Maybe not. This one doesn't seem to be moving as freely as this one. That's the one that I did differently, I think. All right, so I'm going to use my undo and just take it and slide it out a tiny, tiny bit. Or maybe it's this piece that's hanging over that's the problem. Hang on. Undo to the rescue. This is why we used score tape, so that in the event I needed to make adjustments, I could. We're learning together, as we so frequently do on my channel. And we're just going slow and easy with the undo. I get asked about this occasionally. I'll post a link to it. I know it looks like you're causing just horrendous damage, but it actually doesn't at all. And, okay, looks like it left this piece of tape behind, so I'm just going to peel that off. And you'll see it will dry without damaging at all. Okay, oops. All right, well, just in case doing it the way I did it caused my little problem, I'm just going to go back and do it the recommended way, even if it is kind of convoluted. It's actually not the side. The side's also catching. What are you catching? All right, there's a little bit of this, and let me see if you can see. There's a little bit of this spine coming off over the edge, and that's catching. So I'm going to trim that off with my scissors. Okay. Same thing here. And that looks a little rough, but I'll go back in with a nail file and smooth that right up. Hang on, I'll grab one right now and you'll see. There we go. All right, now. Pretty good. All right, so there's our cover. A little convoluted there at the end, but we'll see. All right, clean up a little bit of this. And, okay, so you can see this cover lays perfectly flat. Works. pleased with that. I don't think it's the most perfect thing I've ever done, but I like it. All right, let's make our pages. Gonna need 6. So this, you can see, a lot, I'm sorry, it's a lot of paper. 8.5 by 6 3/4. So 8.5 by 6 3/4, you're gonna need 6. And then you're gonna need a piece 7 3/4 by 8.5. And this is the finished page that we're making. See, it's typical page. I think I'm gonna need my longer. Well, let's see. It's good enough. All right. I really don't like that bigger scoreboard. Okay, I avoided. All right, so I'm gonna score 1/2 inch. This is the 7 and, what did I say? 7 3/4. Yeah, 7 3/4 inch edge. And I'm gonna score it 1/2 inch. Right, and then just go. Fold it in. Fold it in. And when I was pre-making the other 5 pages, I inexplicably made one of them a 1/4 inch short, but we're using so much glue that I'm not redoing it. I'm going to have one page that'll be just a hair shorter than the others, and I'll put, you know, an insert or something in there to disguise it, or I just will ignore it. Oh, you know what? I should have trimmed those. Okay, well, we'll leave it for now. And since these scissors are already covered with adhesive and need to be cleaned anyway, I'm just going to trim my corners, even though I already put glue. All right. Now take your unscored piece and just line up the edges. It up, make sure everything looks good before you really burnish that down. Alright, and then let me get my other scissors. And I'm just trimming the corner off, not going past the score line. Okay. Not seem to want to line up. So pick it up again. You always want to pick it up. Don't let it just not line up. Force it to line up. Okay. And then you can see I've got that bow in it. That's all right. We can just burnish that right out. There. Okay. Now I've got all 6 of my pages. See, I've got one short, but that's all right. And they'll all line up at the other end. So go ahead and make your 6 pages. So we get your cover, your 6 pages, yours will all be the same length. And next time we are going to make the actual binding mechanism for the pages, okay? All right, so go ahead and get all of this done This will be what we just did, unless you're going to make full side pocket inserts. We don't have too many more big pieces to cut. We do have some though. So I would say you're definitely going to use a full package of Artisan cardstock and Kraft, and then maybe even another half. So just if you're purchasing for the album, keep that in mind, okay? All right, thanks so much for watching. I will see you the next time, and we will get our pages bound together. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.